in IT. And it's since I got into meditation, as I said, my life is truly transformed. I discovered the true purpose of my life. So since then, I've been teaching meditation. I've learned a lot from various masters across the globe, and I'm still enjoying my journey. And I hope to teach meditation to, thousands and thousands of people across the globe. So a bit about me. So now let's go into the topic. So today I've chosen the topic called the Divine Matrix. And I like to explain about this topic, something that I have learned, and I was truly fascinated about it. So according to Dr. Bruce Lipton, I'm sure you all are aware of who Dr. Bruce Lipton is, one of the leading scientists who bridges science and spirituality. So he says the Earth planet is going into extinction purely because of human behavior. We tend to live in fear most of the time, and we are emitting the thoughts of fear all the time. So when we emit the thoughts which are filled with fear, obviously this is going to manifest at some point. And this is why we see earthquakes, we see catastrophes, natural disasters, we see the wars that is happening. So we are living in survival, whereas we as human beings are the spiritual beings come to this planet to have a human experience. We have forgotten all about that. We are equally divine, but then we are always in the state of survival, and we are always, trying to live with fear. So this is why the Earth planet is going into extinction. So when I understood, when we say that we all are connected in the universe, I was wondering, how is that possible? But today I'm just going to probably, talk to you a little bit about what I know about what this divine matrix is. So there is a field. The divine matrix is nothing but a field in the universe. The divine matrix is perhaps, we can call it, it's got many names. We can call the morphic field, the quantum energy field, or the zero point field. It's got many names, but it is a matrix. So why is it a matrix? So the divine matrix, if you think about it in the most simplest form, if I can explain to you, it is a container for the universe to exist within. It is a bridge between our inner and the outer worlds. It is the mirror that reflects our everyday thoughts, feelings, emotions, and beliefs. So this is what it is. So we are surrounded by this field, and we are constantly communicating to this field. So how are we communicating? We are communicating through our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So just like, for example, this is a field that exists everywhere. So since when has this field been existing? This field has been existing since the creation of the universe. So firstly, if you think about like, a TV or a radio station that has been created and you're sending some information, it does take time, whereas this field does not need anything. It is constantly communicating in this field. So we are communicating. So this is why we call the universe as a participatory. What that means is the universe is always responding to us. Your thoughts, feelings, and emotions that you're emitting now is, constantly emitting into this universe through this field called the quantum field or the divine matrix. So now, what does this divine matrix looks like? And this is very scientifically backed up, friends. I mean, this is so much of evidence by Albert Einstein. There's many scientists who did a lot of research on this. How does this field look like? When they investigated, when they researched, when they looked at the universe, they thought universe is just empty. There's nothing there. It's just dark. But then when they did a lot of research, they have understood this universe is like a web. If you look at a spider, it creates a web, right? How does a web look like? This is exactly how the universe looks like. And the energy that we're sending you, we know that we are a mass of energy. What does quantum physics tell us? Quantum physics says we are a mass of energy, and we are always thinking maybe 70 to 80,000 thoughts a day. And most of these thoughts are redundant, disempowering, and self-sabotaging thoughts, right? And wherever we place our attention, where attention goes, energy flows, and where energy flows, manifestation begins, right? So in the same way, these thoughts that we are sending out is creating a web in the universe. This is called this divine matrix. So now I'd just like to give you an analogy so you can understand what I'm trying to tell you. So for example, let's take an artist. What does the artist do? Artist has a picture in his mind where he tries to depict that picture on a canvas. So what does he need? He needs his tools like brush, paint, and a canvas. So whatever is in his mind, he's trying to draw the picture until it gets perfect, right? But in this divine matrix, we are the artist and we are the art. This is something very, very important to understand. We are the artist and we are the art. We are like the artist expressing our deepest passions, fears, dreams, and desires through the essence of this mysterious quantum canvas. So what does that mean? The whole universe is a canvas. So this is where we are trying to draw a picture with our fears, our dreams, our desires, our passion. So whatever we have, we are just trying to put that into the universe. Within the divine matrix, however, when we look at the example of an artist and an art, there is a separation. He's an artist, this is the piece of art. But in the divine matrix, this separation disappears. We are both the artist and the art. So this is so important for us to understand. We are creating our own reality with our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So what does consciousness mean? Consciousness is nothing but your thoughts, your feelings, and emotions. Whatever you send out is going to bring back into this universe. Right? So now let's understand, how does this universe works? How does this divine matrix works? And why is it so important for us in our day-to-day life? So this divine matrix is a field where you can use this field to create. So you can create whatever, you can create abundance, healing, relationships. You have anything. You are the creator. You are the artist and you are the art. So this is why you have the power. All we need to do is awaken from within and understand what is that we need in life. We don't want to live in fear. We want to create. So let's become that creators today. Let's become that artist and paint an art that what you desire to have. Right? So now the divine matrix is a container that holds the universe. It bridges between all things, and the mirrors shows what we wanted to be created, right? Everything in this world is connected. Why? When we say everything in this world is connected, how is that connected? I was fascinated, but then when I understood the web, the spider web, the energy, you can see it's all connected, right? This is how we are connected. So it is so important for us to understand awareness is the key. Every thought you're thinking is creating your reality. So we have to be very careful what we are thinking, right? So to tap into the force of this universe, we must see ourselves as a part of this universe. So what does that mean? So the research says that the universe is like a hologram. If you divide the universe into 4 parts, every part has the fullest picture. So when we understand the reality, okay, so my thoughts is actually creating a reality, wouldn't be very conscious, wouldn't be very careful of the thoughts we are thinking every day. And also, we are not only creating the reality in the future, but also we are connected to the past. Albert Einstein says that the distinction between present, future, and the past is just only a stubbornly persistent illusion. Time is just an illusion, in other words. So what we're doing is we are present. We are there right from the time the universe is created. Hence, it is so important for us to understand what we are going to create in future. So if we stay in this awareness, we can definitely, this is the key for our healing, peace, abundance, and creation of experiences, careers, relationships, what brings us joy. So this is why we are going to be so aware. From this moment, we are going to just enlighten us with this information. Constantly, you're communicating to this field, which is going to, the universe is participatory, like I said. The universe is responding to your thoughts. It gives you what you want. Where you're putting your attention is where you're manifesting. So you have to be very careful with what we're doing. So now, the art of focusing our consciousness is the art of creation. So now, how do we create? So yes, we have a divine matrix. We are, bringing events into our life. So how does that happen? What is the key for creation? The key is called consciousness. Like I said, consciousness is your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So I don't know if you have read about an author called Neville Goddard. He is an amazing author from Barbados in the very early 80s, I believe. So he has written a number of books, and it's wonderful, wonderful books. I recommend all of you to read these great books. He believed that our ability to apply the understanding through the power of imagination. So he talks a lot about the imagination. He's called, I think one of the books I can quote, "A Feeling is the Secret," "Imagination Creates Reality," and there's many more. Awakened Imagination, there's quite a lot of books, truly amazing. And Power of Awareness, a very small books, you can just read it in 1 or 2 days. And I highly recommend all these books to be read. They're truly enlightening. So now, how are we creating now? Consciousness, your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. With the power, if we can use or we can tap into the power of imagination, we can create anything. For example, let's say you're trying for a new job, or you're trying to buy a new house. Instead of putting your consciousness, which is your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, into thinking, how am I going to get this job? Am I worthy? Do I have enough skills to get this job? Or can I buy this house? Do I have enough money? How am I going to get a loan? For example, these are the kind of thoughts we always think, right? But then if we can tap into the imagination called wish fulfilled, that means living in the emotion that you have already bought a house, or you have already got the dream job. This is when we can create. So what is the language then? So yeah, great. We have this divine matrix that we are communicating to the divine matrix. So how do I basically manifest what I want is a question that we all want to ask. There is one language. It's not a sign language. It's not a verbal language that the divine matrix understands. The divine matrix understands a language is called the human emotion. So what is a human emotion? It is basically your feeling. How do you feel if you have manifested your dream home? How do you feel you landed up your dream job? This is an emotion. The language that the divine matrix understands is the human emotion. Being in the state of already found a job, or being in the state of wish fulfilled, is the way the divine matrix understands, and you're going to bring in those events into a life. Quantum physics says that every possibility exists in the universe. So we have that power. We have the power to tap into that possibility to achieve what we want. Most of the time, what happens is we doubt ourselves. We think, okay, I'm not capable. I'm not educated enough to have this job, or else we would say, I don't have enough money. But then if you're putting your focus into this, the divine matrix is going to give you the events into the life of the same nature. But the way we want to communicate to the divine is through the language it understands, which is the human emotion. I'd like to give you an example. So there is a lady, or in Neville Goddard books, Power of Awareness, he talks about a man who was diagnosed with a rare heart disease. He was in early 20s, very young man. But then he had this disease, and he was very upset, obviously. And then he reaches out to Neville, and he says, this is the ailment, or this is the disease I'm suffering. How do I come out of this disease? What do I do? So Neville Goddard gives him a technique which is called the being in the present moment, or it's called the wish fulfilled. He says to him, imagine or feel if your healing has already taken place. This is exactly what he says. Be in the state of the feeling of the healing that has already taken place. So like he suggested, he basically, this man, what he did every day in his imagination, because I told you imagination creates reality, because there is no way the mind can distinguish between imagination and reality. So this man every day sat in or visualized himself seeing an expression on doctor's face, saying that the doctor was filled with amazement, saying that this is unbelievable, this is a miracle. You do not have the situation or the problem anymore. So this is what he imagined, seeing, himself completely healed. So then when the real time, maybe weeks later, the doctor came to see him. And when the doctor literally put an expression to his amazement that this man is completely recovered, contrary to all the reasons, all the situations, because he was in the last stage of this incurable disease. So what is that? What is that simple thing that is basically holding us? If you see, this is a belief that man had that he cannot be cured, right? See, now this man is completely cured. And then imagination that he's completely healed himself. So again, if something that can happen to one person, we all have the power. We all are equal. There is no distinction between one person's ability to another person's ability. All it is your consciousness. We need to expand our consciousness from being very narrow consciousness to being very broad, expanding our consciousness. Okay, the focus of our awareness becomes a reality of our world. Whatever we are thinking, awareness is the key here. So in quantum physics, I'm sure most of you might have heard about the double slit experiment that was done. What they have noticed is the electron, when it passes through this double slit, they have noticed that it is moving away from particle to wave, right? So for example, it passes through the barrier with only one opening available. It behaves in just the way we would have expected. It begins and ends its journey as a particle. In doing so, there is no surprises. So what it is wherever we put a focus, this is how the quantum field works. It becomes a reality. So what we need to learn, friends, here is the focus. We need to read what we tend to do most of the time in day-to-day life. When we have a situation, when we have a problem, we tend to put a lot of awareness or the focus into the situation, thinking, oh, I have this situation, what do I do? And our mind get so imaginative. We make the problem so big. We go into different imagination and thinking, oh, what do I do? What do I do if this happens? You're just getting so imaginative. I don't know if somebody have read the books about Brandon Weiss. She talks about consciousness is the new currency of the world. Wherever you put your consciousness, that is what you're creating. Isn't that very simple? When we have all the powers, we don't have to. When you have a situation, did you ever think, instead of we putting that energy into the problem and making it bigger and imagining it's going to get worse, rather, why don't we put the same energy into faith? Again, Neville Goddard have written a lot of books about faith. So prayer, when we want something in life, the technical word of prayer is faith, believing it's already been done. So this is how we need to think from now onwards, that, we don't need to really, it's the belief. Everything in the universe is trying to help us, but then we kind of put our awareness and focus into the fear. This is what exactly happens. So how do we, that simple way to choose a new reality? So now, what is the language? Like I said, we said the language, there's a language, this quantum field we can speak to, or the divine matrix. It is called the emotion. What is the emotion? The feeling. Feeling is the key. So like I said, we just, to choose the quantum possibilities, we must become the way of being. Neville Goddard has suggests that we must abandon ourselves to the new possibilities in our life and love for that state, live in the new state of awareness. So for example, whatever, again, I'll go back to the house example. So if you want to have a new house, if you want to manifest a new house, feel as if you're living in the new house. This is how the quantum field or the divine matrix understands. When we observe something, that is, when we consciously focus our attention in one place in time, it appears that we are locking one of the many possible quantum possibilities into place in that instant. So that means we have n number of possibilities in the quantum field. So when we focus our attention living in that new house, we are locking it. That will become a reality. And this is all scientifically proven. This is not coming from, of course, this is all from the wisdom of our ancient sages. But then this is now, the scientists are waking up and they said, there is no science without spirituality. So now they're bringing in all these evidences from either Bible or, Bhagavad Gita, or, any of these Puranas. And now they're trying to explain to us in a scientific way so that we understand. It's just like yoga. Yoga comes from India probably, but then none of us, or at least myself, I've never done yoga, but then coming to the Western world, this is when we hear a lot about yoga and we start doing yoga when it's scientifically proven that yes, yoga is good for you, it's good for your flexibility, all that. So this is how it is. So all this wisdom is coming from different ancient texts like Judaism, Buddhism, lot of this information. But then it is now translated in such a way that we understand. The educated people want scientific knowledge because we use a lot of logic mind, right? So now when we understand that this is coming from the ancient text, now we can relate to it. Okay, the feeling is the language that speaks to the divine matrix. Like I said, feeling is the language. No sign language, no verbal language. Feeling. How do you feel within now at this point in time? That is the feeling. Feel as though your goal is accomplished and your prayer is already answered. As I said, the scientific term for prayer is faith. The reason we pray, thinking, it's already done. So this is what we need to believe. Again, the reason why we don't believe is coming from a belief system. So it's coming from an environment we brought up, the environment we have been brought up with, the teachers, the parents, and the society, right? So not just only feeling will do, the ones that create must be without ego and judgment. So let me give you an example of a healing of a tumor that was done by this ancient Tibetan monks. So what they did was they basically, there was a lady who was suffering from a tumor and she was very unwell. She tried all sorts of medications and nothing could heal her. And she's in the very last stage of her cancer or the tumor. So she went to Tibet, and these ancient Tibetan monks who are full of compassion, who are full of, without any ego or judgment. What they do, what they did was there was a lady in the room, and then there was a sonographer who was videoing everything, and there was a videographer, and then there was three of these Tibetan monks in the room who was just saying a prayer, and miraculously when they said that prayer, within 2 minutes and 40 seconds, the whole of a tumor completely melted. How do you think that has happened? Because they said, this is the way the divine matrix understands. When you do something with compassion, when you do something with a feeling, without any ego or a judgment, everything happens. Anything, even you can move mountains. Faith is the key. So when we know this knowledge, isn't this really empowering? This knowledge is so empowering purely because we can manifest the life we want. There is no room for competition, greed, anger, jealousy. We can come off all those, but the more and more we feel with those low frequency vibrations or emotions, we are going to attract the same events. It's like in quantum physics, it's like matter changing matter is very difficult, but you can change just with your thought alone, with the quantum energy. Okay, so we must become, so like I said, so in order to be very happy, we must become in our life the things we choose to experience in our world. So again, when we feel as though we are surrounded by healing for our loved ones and enveloped by peace in our world, that's both the language and the code opens doors to possibilities. So this is very interesting. So what they've identified is they did an experiment on consciousness on 9/11, obviously, when the Twin Towers incident happened. They saw that, wherever in the world, when there is something change is happening, this is all very scientific, and this is something scientifically proven. Now science is waking up to these knowledge. So what they said was, when they used a very special equipment, they said on that day 9/11, they saw there is a huge rise in consciousness. When something in the world is going to happen, there is some sort of something that is going to raise the consciousness of the human beings. And that was the day this was completely proven, and this was very there is a scientific evidence, and there is a paper on this as well, how consciousness is creating. So everything, they knew there is something going to happen. So how is this happening? This is happening because we all are connected in the universe. When we change, when we have a thought, this is and very one more interesting thing is, when we know that our thoughts, feelings and emotions are in this field, they said that, even the army or the military people cannot have any information or secrets in the brain. It's actually in their field. This is very interesting, right? So everything in the universe is connected, and every thought you're thinking is actually traveling in the universe. And so we are not bound by any laws of physics, as we know from today. So obviously, many people, we normally tend to see if one person who's doing something brilliant, who is doing something amazing, either it could be studies or profession, or it could be anything, or healing. It doesn't mean that person is gifted with that ability. Each and every one of us has the same ability, but it's the consciousness of us not tapping into that power we have. Even Jesus Christ said, when he was healing people, he indicated to his the fellow beings who was with him. He said, "You can do this better. You are God. You don't understand me telling you this." So the same miracle becomes available to everyone. It's not just limited to one person. All it is we need to tap into our human potential. So as I said, the universe is holographic. If something, what does a holographic means? So if you kind of, divide the universe into four pieces, each piece, each piece will have the reflection of the whole universe. So everything mirrors each other. So this is how we are creating a life, because it is holographic. So something happens to some one area, it also happens to the other four pieces as well. The universe is connected through hologram of consciousness. So the thoughts, feelings, emotions you're thinking is passing through the whole universe. And it promises that the instant we create a good wishes and prayers for our loved ones, it's already reached. So now, for example, we see if somebody is not well, or one of our dear family member is not well and they're at the hospital, and we send prayers, how is it reaching them? It's not reaching through any postal mechanism, right? It is reaching them instantaneously. How? This is how the universe is connected. We are in this web entanglement. So, so that is why it is so important. Even we use good words or, bad words, we have to be very cautious. We want to use it in the most efficient and effective way, how we can help our family or the fellow beings. Through the hologram of consciousness, there's a little change in our life that is mirrored every day. So this is so interesting. So what we when I'm part of the light workers group, and when I joined the meditation probably 3 years ago, I did see that there was a group that was meditating every day, sending out light, because there was a war between India and Pakistan at that time. And I used to wonder, how is this going to help? You're a small group of people who are doing it. How does it help? So, but then this is so interesting. The minimum number of people required to jumpstart a change in consciousness is the square root of the percentage of the population. For example, we have 1,000 people in this room. The square root of 1,000 is the square root of 1,000 is equivalent to the very small number of people, right? So that is the only number of people. 10 people is enough to change the consciousness of the whole universe. So we as meditators, we are doing a great job to change, to bring that shift into this universe, because we are meditating, we're sending out love, we're spreading compassion, we are being kind to our animal beings by being vegetarian. So, all this, that is why the Mother Earth is healing. So can you imagine? This is why we need more and more people to meditate and spread this awareness. It is just a square root of 1% of the population is enough to change the consciousness of the world. The healing can happen to the planet Earth. So isn't this incredible? I found it really fascinating when I came to know about it. I mean, we are contributors to the healing of the planet Earth. So here, all we need is faith, and belief is the key. So like I said, the woman healing tumor in 2 minutes and 40 seconds, this just happened with the faith and the belief that we have. And the divine matrix serves as a mirror in our world of relationships that we create with our beliefs. So for example, if there's any clash between either parents and the child, or husband and the wife, you tend to put a lot of energy thinking about what the other person might be thinking. But in fact, you're sending that message to him like a wireless message, because we all are connected. You don't have to really, if healing can happen to a person by sending out love, wouldn't this the other side of it happen as well if you are sending hatred? Yes, it would. So we have to be so careful with what we think. The divine matrix serves as a mirror. Your inner world is an outer reality. So whatever you feel within you inside, if you what are the kind of feelings you're having, greed, hatred, if at all if somebody is having, this is going to be reflected out. So the root of a negative experiences may be reduced one of the three universal fears. So now the scientists have identified what are the three universal fears that one might have. So the first one is abandonment. The second is low self-worth, thinking very low about oneself, and the lack of trust. So these are the three negative emotions that are actually causing negative experiences in our life. So that is why we said, when we talk about self-worth, what does that mean? That means we are thinking very low about ourselves, right? So when we think very low about ourselves, that means we feel we are unworthy, we are not good enough. So we are not sending out love. How can we love another person when we don't love our own self? So these are the three things that we need to change. Abandonment means when somebody feels a feeling of abandonment. That means he's always suffering with either perfectionism. That means OCD could be one of an example. People pleasing, he could be trying to please people, and he could be not trusting your instincts because we're not tapping into that divine energy that we have within, right? We are always trying to self-criticize us and being judgmental, not acting according to your own values. These could be some really high level examples of self-abandonment. So these are the things when we know the power is within us. Why do we have to look outside? There is no need, right? We need to tap into our own power, the psychic abilities, we call it, that, the goodwill, intuition. If we can tap into that, there is no need to be feared. There's nothing that can happen because it's all within you. Whatever is happening in your life is truly because of your emotions, your consciousness, your thoughts, your feelings, and emotions. When we have a very low self-worth, what happens? We feel depressed. We feel shamed. We tend to think that we are not good of anything. So these are the feelings that again we are sending out to the universe. So what happens? We are contributing to it, contributing to the universe. So it is so important we enlighten ourselves with all this information and then start loving ourselves. When we start loving ourselves, we become more compassionate. One of the most important emotion that is needed in the divine matrix is compassion, being compassionate. The Tibetan monks are so compassionate. That is why they were able to heal the lady in just 2 minutes, 40 seconds. Isn't that next to a miracle? I mean, this somebody who was in the very last stage of her life. So likewise, we need to come out of these negative beliefs that we have right from. I know these beliefs are something that is formed from our childhood for the inner child issues, but again, we can all come out of it with the help of meditation. And also lack of trust. We need to trust the universe. We need to surrender to the universe. The universe is always trying to give you what you want. What we need to do is just surrender, trust the universe, and surrender to it. And we must become in our lives the very things that we choose to experience in our world. So, whatever you want to choose to experience, if you want to become wealthy, just act, feel like you're wealthy. If you want to, have a good job, just act and feel and imagine that you're already having that. So this is a little bit about the divine matrix. They show us, this divine matrix show us that we are part of this universe. We cannot separate ourselves from the universe. So it is so important we embrace each and every human being. We embrace the thoughts that we are thinking of the beliefs that we have, it's important for us to go and look at our beliefs. What are the kind of beliefs that we are having? Do I need to compete in this world? No, there is no need to compete. The universe is abundant. The universe is expanding to give you what you want. Then why do we need to compete? When we compete, we are going into the low state emotions like jealousy, greed, unhappiness. So we are attracting the same events in our life. So it is so important to remember the human emotion is the language of the divine matrix. So the more we want in life, it is so important we trust ourselves first, tap into the inner ability that we have. And once we know that inner life is seamless, you create. We don't need to bring it on. Whatever is happening in our life is because of what we experienced, what we thought about in the past. You can't deny that. The more you deny, it persists, right? So it's coming, just bring it on. We want life downstream, easy, effortlessly, no need of hard work. Quantum field has all possibilities. Whatever you want in life, tap into it. Just focus with your focus. How amazing is this, right? With no need of hard work. Just action is needed and focus is needed and your consciousness. So can't be any better than this, right? I mean, we've been born or we've been brought up with the belief, oh, hard work, hard work, hard work. You need to compete with your friends. You need to be first in the class. What for? When we can't help other people. I personally think being first in everything doesn't really mean anything. When you're not compassionate to your fellow beings, you need to love other beings, help others as much as possible. Just be that person in the universe who can contribute to this planet Earth for healing. So there is so much we can do, friends. We all can be part of this universe to help our Mother Earth heal. So I think I'll stop here. I think I've taken quite a lot of time, but this is something I'm so passionate about to speak. And I think, Hari, I'll just pass it on to you.
That
Hope
was
I didn't make you all boring.
no, definitely. That's a wonderful talk, and I feel that's a very important topic, as you said, which you have given to all of us. Like, we all learn when we start doing meditation how my thoughts help me and how my thoughts reflect on me. But you have touched a point where how my thought even gets reflected on the universe, and how universe responds to our thoughts. Like, what is my thought in the universe? You said, how can I create an earthquake on earth, and how can I create a tsunami on earth? If we go that deep, like, our thought is connected to the universe. On another way, how we are part of the universe is a nice conscious aspect that you have touched, and I'm sure it is a great thing. I'm sure people may have some questions, so if anyone has any, please to raise your hand. So if anyone has any questions or anything that you want to share about today's topic. Yeah, just a sec. Anyone has any? Yeah, I'll definitely share the recording. Yes, Jagruti, go ahead. Yep. I think you're on mute, Jagruti. You raised your hand, right? Nope.
I hope I didn't bore anyone.
Can you? I think I. Okay. Can you please share the name of the books which you have referred? Because yeah, that author is someone who's new to me as well. So, can you please share some insight on the books that?
Yeah, Neville Goddard. I mean, he's an amazing. I don't think he's very much spoke about in our PSSM. But Neville Goddard, I'm a student of Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor is one of the leading
Yes,
boss.
yes.
He just passed away.
Yeah.
I'm his student.
Oh.
So he's my mentor. So he's somebody who has traveled with, because only person on this planet Earth, I would say, who has studied personal development for 67 years.
Mm.
And he had association with all the authors like, Napoleon Hill, um, you know, um, you know, Ernest Holmes, and there's many more. So I'm quite, known to this material. And Neville Goddard is an amazing author. There's so many books, and the very small books, friends. You can just read it. Imagination creates reality. The awakened imagine, the power of awareness. I'll suggest this book. Power of Awareness is a very small book. I don't have it here, but it's a very small book. You can just, there's so many case studies. So when you read those case studies, you will think, oh my God, life is so easy. Why am I making so complicated? Life is so easy. But we human beings, because we don't have this knowledge, we make it so complicated thinking about other people's business. We don't need to, right? If we can know who we are, let's tap into that field of energy. That's it, it's all done.
That's good. Great. Thank you. So Vijaya, right? Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, that's an excellent session, Bindu.
Thank you.
Very informative. Just would like to say, like, మీరు తెలుగు?
అవునండి. యా.
ఒకటి మీరు చెప్పినవన్నీ చాలా బాగున్నాయి. ఎప్పుడు కూడా మనిషి జెన్యూన్ గా ఆనెస్ట్ గా ఉన్నప్పుడు అవుట్కమ్ కూడా చాలా బాగా వస్తుంది, రిజల్ట్ కూడా వీ కెన్ ఎక్స్పెక్ట్. కానీ ఇప్పుడున్న ఈ ప్రెసెంట్ వరల్డ్ ఈ సినారియో చూస్తూ ఉంటే ఎప్పుడు కూడా మనిషి ఫ్రీగా నాట్ ఏబుల్ టు ఎక్స్ప్రెస్ దెమ్సెల్వ్స్. ఒక మాస్క్ వేసేసుకుని తన ఒరిజినాలిటీని పూర్తిగా దాచేసుకుని జస్ట్ ఫర్ ది టైం బీయింగ్ పని అవ్వాలి ఏదో రకంగా అని చూస్తున్నారు తప్ప జెన్యూన్ గా ఆనెస్ట్ గా ఒక మనిషికి మధ్య సత్సంబంధాలు, దే ఆర్ హ్యూమన్ రిలేషన్స్ ఆర్ వెరీ డెలికేట్, అవి ఉండటం లేదు. దాంతో ఈ మా అవతల వాళ్ళ మీద ఎక్కువ ఆ మైండ్ గేమ్ ఎక్కువైపోతుంది తప్ప నాట్ ఏబుల్ టు కమ్అట్ బై దెమ్సెల్వ్స్. ఒరిజినాలిటీ అనేది ఉండటం లేదు. దానివల్ల అవుట్కమ్ మరి అది ఎంత మనం ఎఫర్మేషన్స్ అవి పెట్టుకున్నా కూడా అది లేనప్పుడు, జెన్యూనిటీ లేనప్పుడు అది కూడా కాస్త డిస్టర్బ్ అవుతుంది కదా. మరి మీరేమంటారు?
అదే ఫీలింగ్ ఇస్ ద సీక్రెట్. అన్నిటికన్నా ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఏంటంటే ద లాంగ్వేజ్ దట్ డివైన్ మేట్రిక్స్ అండర్స్టాండ్స్ ఇస్ యువర్ ఫీలింగ్. సో నెవిల్ గోడార్డ్ దస్ ఎ బుక్ కాల్డ్ ఫీలింగ్ ఇస్ ద సీక్రెట్. సో మనం ఎఫర్మేషన్స్ చెప్పినా కూడా, అగైన్ డాక్టర్ జో డిస్పెన్జా సేస్, ఈవెన్ ఇఫ్ యూ స్పీక్ అన్ ఎఫర్మేషన్, ఇట్ డజంట్ గో బియాండ్ యువర్ కాన్షియస్ మైండ్. So it is so important. Your feeling, how do you feel from inside? You should feel very light. You should feel happy. Appude manam we can, manifest what we want. Just verbal ga cheppinanta matrana, I know the words are a magic wand ani, but then there is another element, feeling. Feeling is the secret. Andarki meditation నేర్పించండి, అందరికి knowledge ఇస్తే అందరూ we can make this planet beautiful place to live.
అవును, అంటే జెన్యూన్ గా ట్రూత్ అనేది రావటం లేదు. అది టైం బీయింగ్ ఏదో ఒకటి చెప్పేసి కాంచలానా అలా ఏదో ఒకటి పని జరగటం కోసం అన్నట్లుగా చెప్తున్నారు తప్ప అది ఉండటం లేదు. దాంతో ఒకవైపు ఒక మనిషికి ఎగుని అనేది ఉంటుంది, ఇంకో మనిషి అట్ ది సేమ్ టైం వాళ్ళు ఎంజాయ్ చేస్తున్నారు, రీపింగ్ ద బెనిఫిట్స్ ఆర్ ఫ్రూట్స్. అందుకు దాంతో అన్ఈక్వల్నెస్, ఈక్వాలిటీ లేకపోవటం చాలా ఇది వస్తుంది. ఒకవేళ ఆ జెన్యూన్నెస్, మనిషికి తగిన గుర్తింపు లేదా ఇవేమీ రావటం లేదు. ఒక మనిషి ఎక్కువ బెనిఫిట్స్ వస్తున్నాయి ఒక మనిషికి, అదర్ సైడ్ నాట్ గెటింగ్ వాట్ దే డిజర్వ్ ఇట్ ఇన్ ద సొసైటీ.
Yeah. I think I personally look at it in the simple terms. We are here in the human form for an experience on this earth, kada. Why get attached to everything? And whatever we're facing now is a consciousness from the past. whatever we thought before, whatever our emotions is what is becoming a reality now. That is what we are facing. Kada? Ippudu kuda, when we think about those things, you're going to create, you're going to get into a vicious cycle, right? So I think we just have to let go, like a lotus in the pond where the water is untouched.
That's right.
Shield yourself. That's it.
The meditation wala, it is we inculcate the habit of detachment from all these agonies or everything. And మీరు చెప్పింది మోర్ ఆఫ్ రిలేటివ్. నేను రేఖీ చేసా మాస్టర్స్. దాంట్లో మీరు చెప్పేది ఎఫర్మేషన్స్, వాట్ వి వాంట్, అది మనకి వి కెన్ అచీవ్ దట్. మన విత్ ఓన్లీ థింగ్ ఈజ్ ఇచ్చే ఎఫర్మేషన్స్, ఆ సజెషన్స్ మనం తీసుకునేది సరైన పాత్ లో వెళ్ళాల్సి ఉంటుంది కదా. అంటే బుద్ధ ఇది అంతా కూడా ఐ ఫీల్ లైక్ మొత్తం వీఆర్ ఇంటిగ్రేటింగ్ టు ద సేమ్ సబ్జెక్ట్. When we go deeper and deeper into the subject, they all
it's all the same. We are talking in a more scientific way. Everything is coming from all that wisdom leads to the same goal. Every religion is talking about the same thing. So what scientists have done is they have looked at each and every book and they said it's the same information. Now they're trying to communicate to us, trying to explain to us in a more scientific way, so people who are educated with logic mind can relate to it better.
Excellent. And thank you very much, and thank you Harish garu for organizing such a bringing a wonderful person.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sushma Rao. I'll spotlight you.
Atmandan to all friends, and I got introduced to Bindu ji we just less than a month back, and I think we just instantly connected through books. So I'm from Canada. I work in a bank here, and but my meditation journey kind of started like back in my childhood, but I think only the last 2 years with PA system. But definitely my life has transformed with many aspects of that I just can't name the benefits. So and I just want to thank today Bindu ji for how well she put across the simple and yet powerful concept of feeling emotions and the importance of compassion for the universal matrix of how it reflects back that image back to us itself. So it was very profound and very well explained in very simple words. Thank you so much, Bindu ji, and thank you, Harish ji, for organizing this.
Thank you.
I just want to,
go ahead. No. Go ahead.
I just wanted to share my own personal experience of how I came through this. I just wanted to say that I had a childhood stuttering all through my life until the last 2 years. I used to always fear, like how she said, fear is and I thought, what will people think of me if I stutter in front of my boss? Because I was still working, my schoolmates, my college mates, and I always got ridiculed back because I was emitting ridicule, and I always got ridiculed back. Like, and I lacked with those 3 negative traits. I could see, yes, but I'm so glad that today I want to share that I walked the journey to experience how it feels when you give power to fear. And today, I was part of I came across Neville Goddard, one of the in California. I was part of one of the academy called Purple Flower, where I was into this manifestation and I got my Oracle card certification. In the process, I just learned meditation. Then that master explained to me in simple words as the same thing what Neville Goddard, what was shared, that your feeling is the power. And she just told me, I am the soul. I'm just here to experience something. Why am I in fear to express myself? If I know I'm starting from a genuine, wonderful, with a wonderful thought or a wonderful intention for a person, how it comes out doesn't matter. The language doesn't matter. Just the heart matters. Only that one thought struck me, and meditation, just more being with myself, more trust on myself. And today I'm able to raise my hand without fear, talk here, and share my knowledge with this fluency is just thankful to that universal matrix, to reflecting back that love to me, which I was trying to emit. So I just want to say, if anybody with their children or with their family spouse, we should not really put them in the fear about what others will think, neighbors will think. We should just empower a person to just accept them, and we should just only focus on changing ourselves, not the other person. Because we think we are like, suppose I had a lot of friends and my own family say, Sushma, speak slowly. But they thought they were helping me, but they actually increased the lack in me. Or I rather, as a child, yeah,
That's really
yeah, yeah.
great.
So they want to share that uh, I'm on a call, Mukul. Yeah, just it's a morning time here. My son is waking up. So
That's
yeah.
so that's
um,
really great. I mean, you are an example of how a spiritual how a
yes,
person looks when a
correct.
spiritual transformation happens.
Yeah,
So that's really
yeah.
good
Thank you.
to hear your experience and then how you have transformed yourself from into a different person. So
So I wanted to even quit my job working jobs. Like, oh my goodness, I go to meetings, I cannot express myself. Why should I be in this work? And then just with this past 2 years, I joined a new job where I'm appreciated, I'm enjoying my work, I'm able to express, I'm able to really see just a shift of thought that I'm the sole actor, have to just express myself. I wanted to just highlight, I won't take much of the time, there are many other participants, about how just now Binduji explained about experience, right? So I don't regret myself not believing in myself and being in it, because that fear gave me the experience of how it feels to give power to fear, so that my story can share and inspire somebody else of how they can let go and change and transform. Of course, I even had a tumor in my brain. Again, then during that time, the Reiki, where I was every day talking to the sun. Every day like this, I get a morning sun, and then I just say, thank you, sun, how great you are. You just are unconditionally giving love. I started to appreciate everything about me, everything around me. Yeah, so that basically every experience outside, even this with this mask or everything, it is just for us to say, hey, if you keep being in fear, this is how you experience your world. Change starts from us. So let's start being in love, compassion, and emit good emotions, and break our old patterns. That's
that's
my message today. Thank you, Master.
beautifully
Thank you.
explained.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shishmaji. It's lovely to see you here today. And thank you for your wonderful sharing. Really amazing.
Yeah.
I
Lovely
mean,
to.
having something from childhood and let go of it
Yes.
just after
Yeah,
coming
I would
into
say also
meditation.
yes, through my education, through my married life also, I have to speak. I have guests at home. I would get scared talking to them, like, oh, they would know now that I stutter, right? So, but though my husband used to give me, though my husband used to say, don't worry, just speak. But then that inner fear, nobody could erase until I
Yeah.
let go of that. I had to just
Yeah.
believe it's okay. I just have to express myself, and being in oneness, like how you said, ego self,
Yeah.
like understanding the self, not from the ego, but with oneness. That helped.
Yes. Yes.
So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Shishmaji.
Thanks for sharing. Thank you. All right, so I have one question on chat. Please explain how to expand consciousness, if you can.
Yeah. So expansion of consciousness. So again, like you said, consciousness is your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So again, I think a book from Neville Goddard. It's called I'm just trying to recollect the name of the book. The food. It's the diet. The diet is basically, it's just not the food that we eat. It's what you watch on TV, what you read in the news, or probably who you're having your conversations with. All this contributes to your consciousness. So probably you might be thinking, okay, I watched a movie, a very horrible movie or a very violent movie. I just watched it and I just left it. But just remember, friends, it all sits in your subconscious mind. If you understand how the subconscious mind works, I mean, you would be truly amazed. So it is so important we cut down those unnecessary conversations. We cut down watching TV. That does not add any value to us. If you watch the TV, for example, 90%, I bet you, 90% of the programs that's shown on the TV is filled with fear. They talk to you about corona, they talk to you about something else, they talk to you about inflation. So whenever I speak to even odd conversations, when I talk to people, they are always filled with fear. I see somebody posting in a group saying, oh, there's a theft that's happened in the neighborhood, so be careful. I said, it's okay. It's a material thing. What about the energy vampires around you who's stealing your energy? Don't you want to work on that instead of thinking about material things? Material things are just material. It doesn't come with us, right? What comes with us is only those experiences, the knowledge that we gain in this lifetime. So it is to raise your consciousness. Again, when you watch a TV, which is filled distressing news, right? News is very distressing. You see many people dying. I know we are compassionate, but then you're taking that emotion. It's in your field. I'll tell you an example. Probably, I've been fortunate enough to speak to Dr. Bruce Lipton about 3 times now in one of the panel. So I went into that panel asking him a question. There is a boy who's suffering from muscular atrophy, which means, where the muscles of the body does not work. Okay. And how can we help this boy? Because the drug to heal that disease costs about some 4 crores or something like that. So we don't want to go towards drugs, but how can we heal that boy? So Dr. Bruce Lipton told me, the parents have all the responsibility to look after the boy. If the legs are not working, it's purely because you either take that belief that you can't work and you go into prognosis. When the parents look at the child, they are communicating. This is what exactly he said. He said to me, when the parent look at the child and they think, okay, my child is like that, we are hopeless, we can't do anything. They're not verbally saying the words, but this field around them is communicating. Our body has 50 trillion cells in our body, and each and every cell in our body has consciousness, and it responds to each and every thought you're thinking in your mind. So how careful should we be? And each and every cell have receptors. It is taking information from your surroundings. So when you think, you probably, in this example, in this real example, the parents are filled with fear and they're communicating that fear through this field, this divine matrix, and it is reaching this boy, which is, the cells are taking that information. The cells have receptors are taking that information, 50 trillion cells in our body. Can you believe it? I mean, how phenomenal this is. This is what is creating. If you want to expand your consciousness, you have to choose between being between the greater minds. The greater minds could be books, people who are, who are spiritual. They're talking about something who are empowering you rather than disempowering. Books, and then being with the greater minds, and then stop watching TV, stop engaging into conversations that does not add anything to your life, rather it disempowers you. Somebody says something that sits in your subconscious mind, your self-worth goes down. So all this, there's a knock-on effect, right? So this is how we increase our consciousness, thoughts, feelings. Being the easiest way to raise a consciousness or be in the higher state of emotion is gratitude, friends. Simplest thing, like Shushmaji said, the way she communicated to the sun, being grateful. Nothing, that does not cost you anything. If you start writing a list of how many things you can be grateful about, the list goes on. And there are millions of people in the world who dream about having a life you are having. So instead, we being appreciative of the life that we have, we still complain about each and everything. We impose fear on others, or we go into that, self-denials, a lack of self-love. So it's so important that, we understand who we are. We are the divine beings. Let's tap into that energy. Let go of those limiting beliefs that's been imposed either by the parents or the society or the teachers. Become like, just really blossom, become that superpower. Unless you tap into that, we can't help ourselves. So this is what I would answer to your question. I hope it's been helpful.
Well, that's
So
really
here one clarification, Binduji, like if
Yeah.
we come across with any mishap or tragedy directly or indirectly, you are saying about the inculcate the positiveness and how to nullify the evil effects in case if we met with any tragedy or see
So
directly. Sometimes we see an accident in front of our eyes, something happens like that.
yeah. So basically, if it is happening to somebody else, I know it is very painful for us, but we rather shouldn't get attached to that emotion. We show empathy, but don't get attached to them. Because if you do get attached to it, it sits in your field. It is so important. Nobody has told us in a very granular level, but when we talk to somebody, who has in a low frequency vibration, that energy sits in our field. So it is important. We are compassionate beings, but then at the same time we have to be empathetic. Let's not get attached to that emotion, because whoever is experiencing something in this life, it's purely because of their own creation. Whatever they projected into the quantum field or the divine matrix is what they're experiencing now.
Yeah.
So we don't want to get so much attached, but rather be in the state of gratitude. Okay, I'm safe, I'm secure, being thankful to the universe for giving us this beautiful life. So that's what I would say.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. With the chakra balancing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So continuing the question, people send
GoFundMe.
explaining the situation and we read it. Does that affect you? What? Sorry.
Everything, yeah,
Okay.
everything sits in a
Oh yeah,
subconscious mind.
okay. Okay, I get. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so everything does sit in our subconscious mind. It is up to us how much you want to attach. So, like I said, it is we come here for an experience. Whatever lessons we haven't learned in our previous birth, we come here. Earth is a school, so we come here to learn those experiences, right? So everyone who's facing that circumstance could be because whatever lesson, whatever what they did to other people in their life, they're actually paying now in this lifetime. So this is the way spiritually we need to look at it. Of course, we are compassionate beings, we show empathy, but not to get too attached to that emotion.
Okay. Thanks.
You could read the book The Power of Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. It is truly amazing. You can
I was
how much we can do with our mind.
about to say that. So that book explains the consciousness and so well. So that would be good. Right. We are, I think, past 20 minutes or so. Anyone else has any last questions? Probably one or two quick ones. Any one?
Hi, Hari.
Yeah.
Leela here. I
Yeah.
would like to talk. Hi, Bindu ma'am. I'm Leela here.
Hello. Hi, Leela.
Such a lovely topic, ma'am. I really liked it, and how powerful our thoughts can be, and it creates a reality. You nicely explained to us. One thing I don't understand, ma'am, you mentioned about 9/11 incident, right? So you
Yes.
mentioned something like they proved that because of the consciousness rises and it happened. I don't understand this.
So no, it's
Relation
not because of
between
consciousness raised. They used equipment to test that. So they saw in the graph the consciousness of the people raised, because we all are connected in the universe,
Correct.
right? So the people who are planning. So
Yeah.
what did we say? To change a shift, we need square root of 1 to the total population, right? So for example, I think a 6 billion population, I think you need only about 10,000 people or 6,000 people to meditate. To change a shift. So whoever is planning this incident or this mishap, obviously they are filled with fear, isn't it? It's not something, it's not a jolly ride or something,
definitely.
right? So their emotion is sending out into the universe. So we all connected in the web, isn't it? So so this this part of the people are there when their consciousness. So, there is shift. There is a shift in the consciousness. It could be either good or bad, but there is a shift. That's what they identify, because they're
So-
filled with fear, isn't it? So
that means
yeah,
COVID is also a best example.
yeah, COVID, yes, COVID could be an example, but I think this is only example I could say, because that was something that was narrated with scientific evidence, how consciousness plays a role. So again, COVID, yes, COVID, I think has been quite enlightening for pyramid masters, purely because many meditators came into this fold. They really, they are the true, we need that awakening one way or the other, isn't it?
I mean, you
Yeah.
mentioned consciousness could be high or low. Maybe this
Mm.
time I would imagination it could be high because of this.
Yeah.
Could have
Yes,
happened.
yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It could
Okay.
be, yes.
Yeah. Another doubt, ma'am, you mentioned about like a woman who healed her tumor, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
also like in 2.5 minutes, like
Yeah.
3 Tibetan people like compassionately they prayed and it healed her.
Yeah.
Even it happens to one of our close family members also. If someone made an accident, example, whom we are very close to them, if they are suffering, example, obviously our state of mind is filled with fear, but at the same time we sincerely pray them to come back and heal. Right? At the same time, you also mentioned that we all came with our divine, with our own blueprint, right? If
Yes.
that soul has decided to leave, but we are
Yeah.
trying to bring her back, how the universe works in this situation?
I think they generally say, what is the most dominant thought? Whose
Okay.
thought is more dominant? Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, cool. Thank you so much for referring such good books also. Thank you so much for your time.
Most welcome.
See you
Thank
then.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. How do we stop the effect of others' unwelcomed energy on us? Means, how do we guard ourselves?
Yeah, I think one way to guard is basically, just not having those conversations. Probably we can see when we speak to people, we can see that, we are trying to really, it just feels like, draining that energy. I think Celestial Prophecy, I think one of the book talks about this energy, how you can, what are the kind of energy that's, maybe you can read that book. But yes, I think having, to avoid those conversations is the best way, I would say, being in that state of awareness. That's the way to protect your energy. Not letting, it's just like a ship. If you think about a ship, if it has such a huge ship, for example, Titanic, a small hole in the ship sank the whole ship. It's just like us. So, if we, unwelcome thoughts can really sink us. So it is so important to guard ourselves, not to entertain any kind of unwelcome thoughts or unwelcome people in our life. So yeah, it will sink us otherwise. Self-love comes here first.
Good. All right. Anyone else has any last question? Probably. All right. If no further questions, then that was a really great session, Bindu. Thank you so much. I know we have taken 30 minutes more time of yours. Thank you so much for extending your time for us and sharing us great topic and answering our questions. Have a great day. And
thank you, Hari.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much for giving this opportunity. Thank you, friends, for listening.